4th Clearwater City Council meeting. Anyone who wishes to speak to items not on the agenda or any items on agenda, please come and fill out a comment card. You can get them up here and drop them off on your way up to speak, please. Okay, if we would please rise for the invocation. And the invocation tonight is given by the Reverend Jefferson Cox from Grace Lutheran Church. And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we ask that your Spirit would be in this place and it would inspire in all those gathered gentleness, kindness, compassion, and humility. Help us to make decisions and plans and hopes and dreams that would benefit the entire population of this beautiful city and all those connected to it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Cox.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again, Reverend Cox. We appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to introduce the folks up here in the dais. City Manager Jennifer Poirier to my right. Councilmember Kathleen Beckman next to her.
Good evening.
Our Vice Mayor, Mr. Bunker, Mark Bunker next to me here.
Good evening.
To my left is Councilmember Lisa Teixeira.
Good evening.
Next to him, or her, excuse me. I'm losing my train of thought tonight. Too many meetings. Next to her is City Council Member David Albritton.
Good evening.
And filling in for our attorney who's on the disabled list, I think he's on the 15-day disabled list, we'll have to get him back soon, is Attorney Owen Kohler. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening.
Okay, we have some special recognitions and proclamations. We have the Older Americans Month proclamation. We please have Jason Martino, Director of Planning for Area Agency and Aging of Pasco, please join us.
Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Really quick.
Either or.
I'm sorry?
Whereas the City of Clearwater includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community, and whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently, and whereas the City of Clearwater and the Area Agency on Aging of Pasco Pinellas, Inc. recognize the need to create a community that offers the services and supports older adults may need to make choices about how they age, and whereas the City of Clearwater and the Area Agency of Aging of Pinellas Pasco can work to build an even better community for our older residents by not limiting our thinking about aging, exploring and combating stereotypes, emphasizing the many positive aspects of aging, inspiring older adults to push past traditional boundaries, and embracing our community's diversity. Now, therefore, I, Brian Unk, Senior Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2023 to be Older Americans Month. And I urge every resident to celebrate our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging.
Did a nice job after all those meetings.
My brain's finally clearing.
Yes, I bet. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just a quick note that I just wanted to note that we've had a long-standing partnership with the City of Clearwater in a lot of different capacities. One, you all, you may or may not know, you are an age-friendly community, and you've continued that progress for a very long time. I work very closely with your, I believe, your leisure department when it comes to some of the homeless issues around here, and just want to say out loud that we appreciate that and we continue to do it. Thank you very much for the proclamation.
Thank you. Yep. Can shake hands with everyone there.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, good, thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Martino. We appreciate you attending. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, please come forward, Chief Dan Slaughter. Whereas the week of May 14th to May 20th is National Police Week, and whereas National Police Week offers honor, remembrance, and peer support while allowing law enforcement survivors and citizens to gather and pay homage to those who gave their lives in the line of duty. And whereas the City of Clearwater, Florida remembers Patrolman Harry L. Conyers, Jr., Patrolman Peter Price, Patrolman John F. Passer, and Patrolman Ronald Mahoney, who gave their lives in the line of duty serving the City of Clearwater citizens. And whereas the Clearwater Police Department and Clearwater Fraternal Order of Police Lodge Number 10 invite the public to attend a police memorial on May 12, 2023 at 10 a.m. at Station Square Park, 612 Cleveland Street, Clearwater, Florida. And whereas the FBI Tampa Citizens Academy Alumni Association, a nonprofit organization, has created a Paint the Town Blue campaign. Whereas the City of Clearwater community is called upon to show their support of law enforcement on May 12, 2023 by wearing blue clothing, lighting up homes and businesses with blue lights, sharing support on social media platforms. Now, therefore, I, Brian Unk, Sr., Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim May 12, 2023 to be Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in Clearwater.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, Economic Development Week proclamation, please. Denise Sanderson, our Economic Development and Housing Director, please come forward. You're the next contestant. And your staff.
My team is joining me as well.
That's great. Whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, and expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is the hallmark of the American economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in their regions. And whereas the city's Economic Development and Housing Department is the authorized economic development organization within the City of Clearwater, Florida. Now, therefore, I, Brian Ugg, Sr., Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 8th through May 12th, 2023 to be Economic Development Week in Clearwater, and remind individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding career opportunities and making lives better.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to share with council that next week, 3 of our staff members, Audra Aha and Stephanie Scalise and Dylan May, will be headed off to Orlando, I think, for Florida's Economic Development Conference. So they'll be spending the week celebrating with their colleagues around the state. We are up for an award for marketing for our US 19 video that you all saw a few months ago, and we'll be back before you as a team in, I think, July to provide you those analytics that were requested for the marketing campaign that we launched in early February. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
First time you're stuck.
Thank you very much for all you do. Thank you for what you do.
Watch your step.
Thank you. Have fun at the conference. Thank you.
Let's give a quick round of applause to all 3 organizations that had proclamations. Okay, moving on. Item number 5, do we have an approval of minutes of the April 4th City Council meeting?
Move to approve agenda item 5.1.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 5.2, do we have an approval of the minutes of the April 20th City Council meeting as submitted?
I move to approve item 5.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Now time for citizens to be heard regarding items not on tonight's agenda, not on the agenda.
I'm Mr. Haluba. There was with zero recycling accomplished in December of 2022. To 871 tons last month, that's over 1,742,000 pounds from zero. I believe those statistics are a little questionable. I predict, Ms. Poirier, that you will keep your job, at least in the short term, as long as you keep telling this city council exactly what they want to hear. Even if it, is a little iffy or perhaps even false. And Ms. Beckman, you can believe everything you hear, but I certainly do not. Now, trash is not the only recycle program ongoing in Clearwater. Mr. Hibbard was recycled, Eric Gandy is recycled, Ms. Poirier is recycled, Mr. Long's recycled, and soon Mr. Slaughter will be recycled. Clearwater cannot advance with this continued personnel shuffling and recycling that continues to result in this ideological inbreeding. With a looming police chief vacancy, Clearwater Police Department, like the recycle program, should both be closed down and terminated.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, I'm Beth Davis, resident of 35 years in Clearwater.
Good evening.
Thank you for your work and focus on our community and neighborhoods. Congratulations on the new dashboard, for the progress on solid waste recovery in Clearwater. Wonderful transparency. Thank you for the work. Also very excited to see the housing dashboard come to fruition from the housing and economic team. And thank you, Denise and IT, for getting it in front of us and a conversation now created. Tracking the inventory that we have in housing and the resources available and construction plans in place are critically important to all of us. Documenting the demographics of the average median income, which happens to be $62,000, and the plan for new units for everyone below and above that is the goal. 1/3 of our households earn less than the basic cost of living here. Our workforce for any economic development will continue to shrink as people move north and away to affordable lifestyles and then other jobs. Making this all sustainable matters as we plan for 2045, which is going on now. It was great to attend the housing summit last Friday from the county with so many of you. The collaboration across towns and organizations was timely progress. It was unanimous from all of you that housing is the #1 priority from London to Clearwater. This is long-term work with tough decisions, your decisions. All of it costs money. The current Clearwater budget in housing is $700,000 out of a general fund of $183 million. In that budget, there's a tax increase from our property values of $8 million, and even more next year. So for this next budget, I urge you to please reach for some of this plus revenue for housing plans. 2 comments. Number 1, increase staff for a grant writer expert to access the federal infrastructure money and the state's $700 million Sadowski Trust Fund that will take extra work since it's finally available. Add a housing coordinator, a gatekeeper for staff across all departments and for those citizens trying to access opportunities in the housing that exist. Green Print goal set 30% of new housing units within a quarter of a mile of high-frequency transit needed to be affordable. We need to plan that now. This is every generation, and you know it, the college graduate who may never live here, the 2-income family that just got evicted, and the elderly fixed-income residents. We look forward to your goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the
evening.
council, city staff. Today I'm speaking as the Vice President of the Clearwater Neighborhoods Coalition. First, I'd like to thank the council for the letter of support for the FDOT Complete Street Implementation Project along Drew Street. That was something that our members have been working on for probably 10 years. Members of our association had stories of accidents immediately adjacent to their homes that are truly scary. Last week, we were surprised that members of the greater Clearwater community would reach out to Senator Hooper to push the pause button on this project. He inserted a proviso into this year's state budget to require an update to the corridor study and the concept evaluation. This is disappointing, but it looks like the update can be completed fairly quickly. What is disappointing is that concerns were not worked out during the long process of the design and the project reviews. It reminds me of what the Urban Land Institute found in Clearwater back in 2014, and I'm quoting from their report. In the panel's experience, it seems to be a profoundly divided city. It is geographically divided between the mainland and the beach, but it is also internally divided with deep and enduring tensions between various sparring factions. I thought that this was mostly behind us, but it's obvious that it will require greater work for our successful future. I have a few selected quotes from that report that I would share with you at this time. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. If the council would allow it, may I bring up something on affordable housing real quick, or is that out of order? I just want to ask a question about affordable housing, whether we have availed ourselves to a tool that's out there. Okay. Denise, would you come forward, please? All right, so my question is, and this came to my attention just the other day, there's House Bill 1339, 2021, and Senate Bill 962 in 2022, that avails the city, and apparently St. Pete's the only one that's used this so far, a tool to approve mixed-rate affordable housing on industrial and commercial properties without a land use amendment or rezoning. Have we looked into that? And are we
Yes,
interested?
and actually that question is better suited for Ms. Clayton in Planning and Development because
Okay.
it's a land use and implementation question.
Okay.
Gina Clayton, Planning and Development. We have actually not really had interest for industrial use, land use property, so we really haven't availed that. But we do have a provision called Comprehensive Infill Redevelopment
Okay.
Project in the code where someone could go through a process to achieve that.
Okay.
Habitat has used that for commercial property as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanted to see if we had that option and if that is on anybody's radar, as we're looking for a built-out community and places to build some housing. So anyway, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, sorry to bog that down with that, but I thought it was important to bring that up while we just talked about, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Good evening.
council members, staff. My name is Patrick Raftery, 44-year resident of the Clearwater area. Very quickly, I want to second Mr. Johnson's sentiments regarding the recent provision that was put in by Senator Hooper to slow the process on Drew Street. However, like he has said, let's move forward with getting those tests done and move forward with making Drew Street safe. I suggest we focus our energy on that effort as well as our frustration and move on. The thing I really wanted to talk about, however, was the work session on Monday. There was an excellent report given on the recycle efforts of the city. The dashboard is now up. It's very informative for myself as well as all the residents that were very concerned about this process. If I recall correctly, it was reported that we recycled 870 tons in the month of February, with a very low 8.1% contamination rate of rejected truckloads. The contamination, quite frankly, is on the residents. The assumption being done by the city and the processors is that we know what to recycle and we will do it properly. So all I can say is that we all need to do a better job of doing the recycling and to eliminate the contamination truckloads that are going into the processing center. At the same time, I know a report is due in the month of July, which the residents are looking forward to, I think, with very high interest. I would hope that that report explains to us the process improvements that have been made. It might address as well the recycling process we're doing to make it easier for us not to provide contaminants into our recycle. If we're going to adjust those items to be recycled, that would be the time to do it. Most importantly, for all of the residents that I've heard from a number of times, is the city needs to decide what type of credit needs to go back to the residents. There is no doubt in my mind, and the minds of many residents, that a trust has been broken by what happened with respect to the recycle program. The fact that it took a whistleblower to tell us that this was occurring is not a very good reflection on the culture of the city operations at the time, but let us hope that that will be corrected. In any case, to restore the trust that you had at one time with respect to recycling from the residents, it is important that a reasonable credit be given back to those residents. So I urge you to give that some serious thought and step forward with whether it's the right thing to do to restore that trust in the city government and the recycling program. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public to speak on items not on tonight's agenda? Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda, which are items 7.1 through 7.13. Is there anything this evening to be pulled from the consent agenda? If not, do we have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve agenda item 7.1 through 7.13.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, administrative public hearings. Do we have anything tonight? No? Okay, sorry, I'm just making sure. I just lost my thing. All right, second readings. And I lost my screen.
Item 9.1 is a second reading. It's to adopt an ordinance, and it's ordinance number 9662-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by rezoning a portion of certain real property located on the south side of Goleta Bay Boulevard, approximately 540 feet east of King Road, whose post office address is 1849 Goleta Bay Boulevard, Clearwater, Florida, 33765, from low medium density residential LMDR to commercial C, providing an effective date.
Any questions or comments on this item? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 9.1.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.2, please.
9.2, it's a second reading, ordinance number 9663-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, making amendments to the Clearwater Downtown Redevelopment Plan by amending Chapter 4, Plan Implementation, Public Amenities, Incentive Pool, certifying consistency with the city's comprehensive plan and proper advertisement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Do we have any public comments? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve item 9.2.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. 9.3, please.
9.3 is another second reading. Ordinance number 9664-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, making amendments to the Community Development Code, Appendix C, Downtown District and Development Standards, by amending Division 3, Character District Standards, Division 4, Frontage Standards, and Division 8, Flexibility, certifying consistency with the city's comprehensive plan and proper advertisement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Do we have a motion?
Oh.
I can't make a motion.
Approve agenda item 9.3.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.4, please.
Another second reading. Ordinance number 9666-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to change the land use designation for a portion of certain real property located on the south side of Gulf to Bay Boulevard, approximately 540 feet east of Keene Road, whose post office address is 1849 Gulf to Bay Boulevard, Clearwater, Florida 33765, from residential urban, RU, to commercial general, CG, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 9.4.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.5, please.
Another second reading, ordinance number 9668-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property described as Lot 7, Block D, Kapok Terrace, Clearwater, Florida, into the corporate limits of the city, and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 9.5.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.6, please.
Second reading, ordinance number 9669-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property described as Lot 7, Block D, Kapok Terrace, Clearwater, Florida, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater as residential low, RL, providing an effective date.
Anyone wish to speak to this item? Do we have a motion?
Motion, was it you?
Move to approve item 9.6.
Second. The seat change is confusing me.
Correct. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.7, please.
Second reading, ordinance number 9670-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property described as Lot 7, Block B, Kapok Terrace, Clearwater, Florida, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LNDR, providing an effective date.
Anyone wish to speak to this? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 9.7.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.8, please.
Second reading, ordinance number 9673-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a 10-foot platted public utility easement located on lots 4 and 5, Unit 2, Island Estates, according to the map or plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 47, page 19A and 20B of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone wish to speak to this item? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 9.8.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 9.9, please.
9.9 is a duplicate of 9.1.
Okay. So we don't need any action on that?
No action.
Okay. 9.10, please. Point 10.
So 9.10, 9.11, and 9.12, I think we can probably do them at the same time.
No motion is needed
Right.
since it failed at first,
Denied.
but if there's anybody in the public who wishes to speak, we would have to hear their
Does anyone wish to
comments.
speak to these three items, these final three? No? Okay, so no actions needed, correct? All right, thank you very much. City manager reports.
Review and adopt the City of Clearwater's 2023 strategic plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kayleen
evening.
Castle, Budget Director. I am pleased to present for your approval tonight the final draft of our strategic plan document that is meant to guide us for the next 3 to 5 years. This is the culmination of a process that has been years in the making. Multiple council work sessions, a national citizen survey, an employee survey, and community focus groups have all been held on this topic. The proposed strategic plan emphasizes 5 strategic priorities and a total of 22 accompanying objectives. The priority areas are high-performing government, economic and housing opportunity, community well-being, environmental stewardship, and superior public service. The strategic plan is supported by a vision and mission statements that, along with the 22 objectives, are guided by organizational values to create a decision-making framework for resource allocation and budgeting, as well as to direct the efforts of city staff. Clearwater's vision statement describes where the organization is heading and expresses an aspirational view of a future desired state, a community that thrives from bay to beach. The mission statement describes why the organization exists, its purpose, its reason for being, and articulates the services provided and the desired outcomes. Clearwater is committed to quality, sustainable, cost-effective municipal services that foster and sustain a healthy residential and economic environment. As provided by City Council Policy 311, staff will continue to review the strategic plan during the annual strategic planning session to ensure that plan elements remain responsive and representative of the priorities of the City Council and the citizens of Clearwater. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions, comments? Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
I have a comment. I think this is fantastic. I think it was a whole bunch of work. I think it was long overdue. I applaud you, Kayleen, and Rosemary, and whoever else worked with it. You know, our other strategic plan did not even have the word environment on it, sustainability. It didn't have homelessness or housing. It didn't have supporting eco-friendly enterprises that you suggested. It's just really, I'm super proud of the work you all have done. I'm proud to hold this up in the community and say this is what we aspire to be and are determined to be, and we'll put our money and our efforts towards these things that are articulated here, and I think it's fantastic. Really, I think it's fantastic. So thank you very, very much.
Other comments? Yes, ma'am.
When I realized we had to do this, I really felt it was going to be like herding cats. And I am so impressed with how the staff just coordinated all of us, and that's the end product. And I mean, that's impressive. Thank you.
Anyone
I have
else?
a great staff that was really involved in this.
Long time coming, so good job.
Wonderful work. Thank you.
I would concur. Great job. Thank you very much.
Hey,
Yes.
so I have one suggestion. I mean, we can think about it, but this one pager, it would be great if it were enlarged and put in this chamber somewhere, so that when we have discussions and people talk about, can you do this, can you do that, the city needs to do this more or less, if this is, even if it's available out in the hall as you enter or on the back wall, I think it's important to have it front and center and not just on a website. You know, I can run it off in color and have it with me when I'm out and about, but I think it would be great to have it in this room somewhere. I just think it's our guiding document. It really is, and I think it shouldn't be on a shelf.
I think that's a good idea.
I'll just, we discussed it on Monday, but, you know, we had kind of 2 pages as part of this agenda item, and so we did add the additional value at the bottom, so you saw as attached to your item. So when we build the webpage, this will be, you know, the introduction document.
Great. Any other questions or comments? All right, again, thank you. Great job. 10.2, please.
May I have
Yes.
a motion to
Oh, a motion.
adopt the?
I'm sorry, let's have a motion to adopt. Does anyone want to speak to this? Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Bill Johnson, 2694 Redford Court West, Clearwater. Thank you for moving forward with the strategic plan. It seems like it's been a long time in coming, and I'm glad that we've gotten so far. I would highlight that this reestablishes city values. I think that with some of the problems we've had, perhaps the city employees and the city's customers, our citizens, have not understood what process and the values that they should be using when they're interacting with the citizens. And that quote that I handed out to you, there are a couple things that I would read from that. The first one is, Clearwater must find one unified vision, and the vision must include each of the different constituencies that form Clearwater, and they must buy into the vision. Everyone must feel invited, and everyone must be invested in the outcome, because the city cannot simply afford to leave assets and talents on the table. I would salute you for the initial public meetings to come up with the information to form this, but I would say that I'm disappointed that this is really the first chance that anybody from the public has had to make comments on the final version of it. I do have a question in the agenda. There were 2 copies of the vision. And I don't know which one you're implementing or considering. One said amended May 1 work session, and the other one said final version. So I don't know which one you're actually adopting.
It's the one that says amended at the 5-1 work session.
Okay.
They added sustainability under the values.
I have to, thank you for that clarification. I have to say that I am kind of disappointed that we're dropping the uniquely beautiful from the vision. This is something that's been with the city for 20 years, Mayor, since we were here and developed that. It's been in the history of previously sparkling Clearwater. I look forward to this vision, this document being resource-staffed and then prioritized. Right now, it's just a kind of a wish list of everything. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, anyone else want to speak to this? If not, do we have a motion to accept this, please?
Move to approve item 10.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 10.2, please.
Appoint council members to regional and miscellaneous boards. Council members, based on your discussion at the work session, I have attached a revised list of the advisory boards. So just for the public's knowledge, those changes are Mayor Ongst will now serve on the audit committee. Councilmember Teixeira will serve on the American Public Gas Association. Councilmember Beckman and Vice Mayor Bunker will serve on the Barrier Islands Governmental Council with the Vice Mayor as the alternate. Councilmember Teixeira will now serve on the Clearwater Arts Alliance, and the Mayor will serve on the Mayor's Council of Pinellas County, the Tourist Development Council as well, and the Pension Advisory Committee, as well as the Florida League of Mayors. I also, based on the conversation, I did note on the agenda item, the Pinellas Collaborative Committee. In speaking with the county, they no longer staff that committee, so I have removed it from the list.
Okay, any questions, comments? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to bring this up. We can't really vote on it tonight because Fort Pinellas is going to add another person from Clearwater. They have 2 representatives from Clearwater. We haven't voted on that yet, but it's going to come very shortly. So I want everybody to be thinking about if that's something that you'd like to do. That's an opportunity coming up for another board.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Do we have to have ask for public input on this?
Yes,
Anyone
I'll
from
need
the
a
public
motion.
wish to speak for this? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 10.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And, sorry. City Attorney reports.
Nothing to add.
Nothing, okay. That's it, I guess. Closing comments by council? No, anything?
No, sir.
Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. All right, we'll start right to left. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pretty quick meeting tonight, huh?
Yeah. We
So
weren't through the presentations this time last meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that today and tomorrow, well, today, I was at the Tampa Bay Regional Resiliency Leadership Summit at our beautiful Clearwater Hilton. It was very well attended. There were fantastic presentations about planning for resiliency and sustainability. There were people there from Sarasota and Lee County talking about the impacts of Ian and lessons learned. I believe maybe on our next work session, I'll go through some of those specific lessons that I learned and got the PowerPoint from Sanibel Island that I can share and look forward to doing that as hurricane season's right around the corner. And then also last Friday, attended the Homes for Pinellas Summit, and I was really looking forward to that, and it was a good summit. And this is a rollout of the plan to realize the statements that we made and signed on to with Pinellas County Housing Compact. And, you know, when we signed on to that housing compact, it's a lot of words, not a whole lot of measurables, and certainly a lot of options for cities. But the plan is exciting. It's on their website, so you can go to pinellas.gov, and if you type in the Housing Summit or the Pinellas County Housing Compact, you can see a YouTube video of the entire meeting, as well as some of the takeaways from the breakout sessions that were after lunch, and you can access the plan. So I would encourage people to do that. And I do believe they were, I don't know for sure if they were recording today's Resiliency Leadership Summit, but I would check that out as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
First, I'd like to thank writer Stephanie Hutchinson, who's been exposing many of Scientology's lies involving the Scientology front group, the Stand League, and their Twitter account, Hate Monitor, which exists solely to attack anyone who dares to criticize Scientology. Hate Monitor tweeted recently that major publications like Jezebel magazine are catching on to Leah Remini, and posted a quote that made it appear that Jezebel believes Leah Remini supports rapists. Well, Stephanie's highlighting of this tweet caused Jezebel to condemn Scientology for this, and this is all happening, by the way, as Leah Remini has been showing up in court to support actual rape victims in LA at Danny Masterson's trial, going on right now. And those very victims of rape have been targeted for years by Scientology's dirty tricks and harassment. Lies like these are why that recent poll of people's views on different religions saw Scientology tied right at the very bottom with the Church of Satan. And next, I'd like to express how upset I am that Senator Hooper slipped some last-minute language into the budget to delay the Drew Street project that this council voted to approve recently. After years of the neighborhood pleading with us to improve the safety, stop the crashes, the injuries, and the property damage, and give them some peace of mind, this unnecessary delay potentially threatens the federal money that was secured for the project. There's been some words that lobbyists for Amplify Clearwater were putting pressure on Hooper to add this delaying language to the bill. It was the business community who appeared in these chambers to oppose the project because of potential negative impacts on downtown business. And everybody knows that the real problem downtown is Scientology's toxic presence and their secret purchasing of all the buildings as leverage against the city and leaving them sitting empty for years as part of David Miscavige's devious plan. I mean, just yesterday, an event coordinator at the Downtown Development Board described the downtown as creepy, and this ironically was to a board of entirely Scientologists. I only wish that Amplify Clearwater and Senator Hooper addressed the real serious problem of Scientology, which has devastated our downtown for nearly 50 years, instead of ignoring the very real safety concerns of the people living on Drew.
Thank you. Councilmember?
I actually want to follow up on one of our citizens who spoke today, Beth Davis. She was talking about regional cooperation, and she really hit the nail on the head. I've attended just in the last week, 3 events where the region got together and we've educated, we've shared information, and we're collaborating on common challenges that we as a region have. And I thought that was really encouraging that all these little cities or big cities all come together and share information, education, and work as a team, and that's very important. So I just wanted to touch on that. I also was very honored to be part of the Charity Works annual golf outing, and I was actually on a helicopter dropping some golf balls. And the proceeds went to two organizations, Creative Women as well as No More, which is an organization that I work with, focusing on anti-human trafficking efforts. So I was very excited about that. Great results. And I also went to the CYB, or Clearwater for Youth, event, and where I also met some of the recipients of that fundraising, Clearwater children who needed scholarships and needed help. And it was wonderful to see all that fundraising and actually meet the recipients that received those scholarships and see how bright these young people are. And I'm very encouraged. I think they're going to be great contributors to our city.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to join Mark Bunker and Bill Johnson in talking about Drew Street. I was very disappointed to hear last week that it looked like this might have been waylaid, even though the council had voted to move forward with the project. Pinellas County put a letter to move forward with the project, and we have to the end of the year to spend this federal money, not state money, it's federal money. I'm the representative here on Fort Pinellas, and we've been working on this for years. And I know we were waylaid with COVID for a couple of years. The traffic study that was originally done was 2017. And in 2019, they updated the traffic study, and that went from 2019 through 2045. FDOT, that's what they do. They do traffic studies, and they project traffic movements for years to come based on criteria that they have, a rubric that puts together these reports that says, okay, downtown's going to grow by this much. We've got development on the bluff. We've got the amphitheater opening. So they anticipate all this stuff. And I think the business community was misinformed that we didn't take that into consideration. Besides, they were going to come back with a finalized plan for us to look at before the end of the year and actually get started before the end of the year. So here we are. I know next week, I think you have a meeting, Jennifer, with David Gwynn, FDOT, with Ed Hooper, and to talk about this. I talked to Whit today, who I asked to talk to David Gwynn, the CEO of FDOT. He thinks that they can get the report done within 30 days. So I asked Whit, I said, not only do I want to see the report, by the way, David Gwynn said he didn't think it was going to be too much different than the report they did in 2019. But we'll see how it all comes out. But I want somebody from FDOT that knows how they came up with all these forecasts to come explain that to us and the business community and everybody in Clearwater so they can have an understanding of how they put together these studies and how they project this. So we're not just guessing. I mean, I have a lot of faith in FDOT because that's what they do, but I'd like to know how they come up with these projections. And I think for our community and everybody in Clearwater, we'd like to know too. But as I said before, to me, safety is number one, and Drew Street is definitely an unsafe street that needs to be fixed. So hopefully we can get back on track with this and we can get that report quickly.
Thank you, Councilmember Overton. I had the pleasure of attending the meeting we had in North Greenwood with Dr. Matthews, and some of us were there. I thought that was a very good meeting to explain the proposed CRA and to have people sign up to get more information on how they can get involved. So hats off to Dr. Matthews in the back of the room there for a great job. I enjoyed that. Also had the pleasure of being at the opening of the JW Marriott, another prime, beautiful resort on Clearwater Beach. So another option for people to stay on the beach and enjoy it. If you'll allow me a moment, try not to get emotional when I say this, but 5 years ago, last night on May 3rd, this council was interrupted at about 6:30 by text messages, and there was an audible groan that came out. And they got the message that my wife Karen passed away after a year and a half fighting brain cancer. To his credit, Mayor Creticus stopped the meeting, announced it, and had a moment of silence in her honor and memory, which my family and I really appreciated. Karen deserved that because she was an advocate for this city. She worked tirelessly before I was elected, while I was elected, and afterwards to effectuate positive change in the city of Clearwater. She had an infectious smile when she walked in a room. She made people at ease, and she lit up the room, and she often counseled people who had concerns and always gave them sound advice and guidance. So I appreciate that, and we all miss her very much. David, you were here that night. I know you got that text message, and we love her very much, and I feel her presence in this room, which calms me while we're conducting sometimes difficult decisions of the people's business. So I thank you for allowing me to say that, and great meeting. We are adjourned.